Hello, world, and welcome to Code or Not to Code. I'm Miliva, and I'm very happy to be here today. And as always, I'm here with Stefan. How are you doing?
Yes, we are, I think, finally cashing in, no, but fulfilling the promise of more than a year ago, I suppose.
Oh my goodness, we are indeed. We've got a really good episode. For those of you who've been with us a little bit longer, you're going to be so happy. I'm actually really happy because, yes, we have teased this episode, for quite a while. And I think what's also different is that usually, okay, we say something once and then we hold ourselves accountable maybe like a year later. But we didn't say this once. Like we promised this. Yeah, I feel like every episode we sort of talk about it. But yeah, now it's finally today. Today we're going to tackle some benchmarking. But before we get into that, please take a minute to subscribe to any of our social medias or channels, just to keep up to date with our upcoming content and our upcoming shows. As some of you know, we meet every other week, kind of semi-regularly. I think we've been pretty regular so far after our little break, but sometimes it's a Tuesday, sometimes it's a Thursday, things like that. So yes, please make sure you follow us so you don't miss an episode. And obviously, if you have any questions, any comments, any suggestions for upcoming episodes, you can also reach us there, because we always love to hear from you. Yeah, I know. I usually also do the thing if you're new to the show, but I guess you're gonna see what's what's in store for you. Yeah, we always have like new topics, new things, and Stefan is like, I think benchmarking is like you always smile when I say benchmarking or when somebody says it. So it always makes you happy in some way. So I feel like it's sort of your specialty. Is that fair to say?
I think everybody does smile a little bit when it comes to benchmarking. I would presume.
Everybody, really? Okay, maybe quite a few developers. Do you know that I actually have never done benchmark except in one of our episodes once, because I remember I said that as well. Like I think we did like a cheeky benchmark at some point. Did we do that? Or is that like a hallucination?
I suppose we had one, yeah, at some point.
Yeah,
but,
that was my first.
Diving
So
into it.
I'm going in completely blind. Yeah, so maybe some of you are too. Maybe some of you are like Stefan, already an expert. Some of you are like me, sort of diving into it for the first time. But yeah, I hope it's fun and instructive for everyone. And if you have any questions, you can always ask in the chat as well.
Speaking of the chat, we got some German.
No way, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Eric is asking
Nordischer Sprachtag.
If we are speaking fluent Scandinavian. Well, no.
Skål is what I know.
Repareringspils.
I also know Jag älskar dig. That's like Swedish, I think, for I love you. I know that because I have like a little bracelet that it says that on it, and I think I just took it not knowing what it meant, and then I realized it was, I guess, for couples or something. But yeah, what else do I know? Scandinavian.
We know Tusen Takk.
Tusen Takk, yeah. We've both been to Oslo, so I think we should have come back with a little bit more.
I guess this shows that the intro we gave in Oslo and the outro, we were speaking in Norwegian. It's already kind of gone.
Gone. It's gone.
Präsentation.
Präsentation, yeah.
Konferenzen, but I'm just, that's pretty much it.
yeah, sort of all of the words that kind of sound like what we already know. But yeah, I didn't know that there was like a Nordic language day, but I definitely love the sound of like all of the Scandi languages. They're really cool.
But our audience does know a bit of Scandinavian. Warden is here.
Oh,
thanks for joining. And Jason knows lutefisk.
What's that?
I have no idea. I'm looking it up.
It's some sort of fish. Very, very confident with my
dried whitefish, usually cod.
There you go.
Now I get hungry.
Awesome. Right. Unfortunately, sorry, Eric. We're gonna have to disappoint you on the on the trivia point. I
Trivia.
know some of you really enjoy that section, but today actually we're gonna dive straight into setting up our project. Isn't that right? Is that right? Yes, it's right.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Yes.
Now, actually, this is going to be embarrassing because we created this project last year.
Oh, perfect. Amazing.
But
It's just been sitting here waiting for us.
It's finally time for us to build now a bit of a helper library that facilitates some of the, I don't want to, not overhead, but boilerplate also not, but setup code that is required in order to benchmark Waslin or compiler extensions such as analyzers, code fixers, source generators, and so on. And I suppose we're going to start with source generators and maybe second then analyzers, because those I think are the most used and most cool.
Sounds good.
We also have some issues. Well, yes, but also on GitHub. And let's start with number one, the scaffolding, where we want to, well, create the solution and the project.
Solution and the projects. Sounds simple enough.
Well, we already created the solution so that we can start into a not live share, that's Visual Studio, Code with Me session.
Code with Me. Yep.
And we are using the new XML solution-based format. We had a stream, was this beginning of the year or end of last year? We had a stream about the new solution format, or solution formats in general, where the former SLN is quite, if you get an empty solution already, has like 40 lines or something, and then every project you add adds 10 lines, where it is now supposed to add single line, and dealing with folders and such is way, way easier. All right, so let's get into creating some projects. What do we need? Or what do we need perhaps even before creating a project?
Before creating a project?
Yeah. Maybe let's start with, because when we have artifacts and such, we don't want to check them into GitHub.
Git ignore.
We also want to have git ignore. Yes. So
I usually just copy paste this from like one of my a previous project. So I don't actually. Yeah. How do you do that? Is that normal? Is that like me being junior behavior?
Well, there is help in the, well, I basically also copied, but not from the web, but from the .NET SDK. So if you do .NET new,
yep,
and list, there is, okay, I guess I zoomed in way too much, but there is, yeah, anyway, there's a template for a git ignore, which is like a git ignore for .NET based projects. Git ignore, I think I already have an older one already, since when we created the project with GitHub, you automatically get a git ignore.
Yeah.
But let's overwrite this one. So we now get the latest .NET suggested git ignore file that is included in the .NET version in the, dash version in the 9.0.3 SDK. Cool. Then, since we want to have like reproducible builds, and kind of every commit should be as snapshotty as possible, I also like to do in a global JSON file.
Okay.
And if let's see what kind of options, I need to zoom out a little bit, what kind of options there are available. We can change the deterioration, also a roll forward policy. I think I'm gonna start, let's start rather strict, because I think it's easier to go less strict than more strict. Well, I guess this applies more to API, but yeah, maybe let's stick with that. So do a .NET new global JSON as well, which then looks like, oh yeah, here's an updated git ignore. We have a global JSON file.
Okay. Is that all that goes in there, or do we need more?
We can add more, but this one is now just pinning that you need to use exactly 0.0 the .NET SDK 9.0.302. We can later on do some roll forward policy that maybe allows like, hey, you can roll forward within the 9.0 release. So any later patch or feature band release. But yeah, we can change this when we need. And what I do see already is we have
the old
the
discussion.
old question. Yes. What is your preference? Do you like tabs or spaces more?
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
I don't really understand the difference so much. I get that like spaces, like a tab is like a bunch of spaces, right? I think
Yeah.
S4 or something.
Well,
no.
No, a tab
8?
is a tab
How
is a
many?
tab character, and now
Yeah.
you can
Okay.
now, depending on the tool, you can now change basically the width of how the tab should be rendered. You could then this is why I like tabs. Well, if I do spaces and I do 4 spaces, that's 4 spaces. Most projects do 4 spaces. That's kind of the default. Well, for C# files, for JSON files, they usually have 2 spaces as indentation. But when you have tabs, what I like about them is you could then locally set your own width for a tab. So actually you can say, hey, I want my tabs to be 2 spaces, or I want my tabs to be 4 spaces, or I want my tabs to be 100 spaces. Yeah. So it's more configurable than spaces, in my opinion.
Is there preference in the audience?
Ooh. Let's start a war.
Let's start a war.
In the meantime, I'm going to copy over the editor config file that we used in our tools project.
Ah, yes. So we can, whatever the outcome is, we can immediately solidify it. Yeah, the thing is, like, we had, like, I don't know. I'm always, like, really, like, weak in those discussions. I was like, yeah, sounds good. I don't really mind. I think, you know, I usually just come into a team and they already have it set, and then I just follow that. But like, yeah, if it's up to me, I'm a little bit lost. I'm a little bit like, sounds good. So I'm like tempted to just believe, but there's also like a part of me who wants to be like, no, there can only be spaces. I will quit this show if there are no spaces in the project. But yeah, I have no foundation to put this rage on. So
then let's start with.
I could ask ChatGPT.
Okay. Well, I can imagine that. Well, the default kind of is 4 spaces for C# files. That's what most projects have it. So I guess this is why I would like to try something new, I suppose. Which now should lead us to the global JSON to also be topified.
Consistent rendering across editors and environments. Alignment with .NET coding standards. Oh my goodness. The .NET Foundation and Microsoft Coding Style Guidelines recommend 4 spaces for indentation. Oh, that's what you said. Okay.
Yeah. I was about to say, I heavily thought that they use tabs. Because I think they recommend spaces, yeah.
No, I don't have anything. All right, you win.
What is suggesting tabs? They are better for visual impairments.
Let's go with tabs. I think, yeah, my arguments were super weak, and you both had more convincing ones. All right, good.
Cool. Well, yeah, I guess it's really up to preference. If whatever the team decides, yeah. Cool. So what's next? I guess let's build the projects. So what projects do we need? Let's see. Let's jump to our sources folder and let's create.
Didn't you?
Yeah.
Do you not prefer? Didn't you not tell me you preferred source instead of SRC?
Yes, but then I switched to SOC because you said SOC.
Okay.
Well, it's a give and take.
Fair enough.
Cool. So let's create our first project. .NET New. How do we create a C#? What's that? It's a library. Class lib. I was not thinking class lib. Let's see what options we got. I haven't created a project via command line recently. Yeah, let's start with .NET 9. C#. Okay, name and output. So let's create a class library because we're going to build a library that then other projects can then consume.
Yep.
And we're going to call it like our project. We could later on then also think about splitting it into several projects and therefore splitting into several NuGet packages. Maybe one for C#, one for generators, one for analyzers, one for Visual Basic, not sure. But yeah, we can split it later if that need arises. And we could then still have this project, even if we split it up, we could still have this project or this package as a kind of a meta package that includes all of our projects. Like if you want all of it, if we split it later, we could still have this. And if you only want to opt into a very specific package to also reduce download sizes and such, then we could, if the split then later on is kind of beneficial for us. And now we need to add it to the solution. And I haven't done this in a while. SLN add project or something project, a project that should be used for context evaluation. Or is that .NET add? It's .NET add. No. Okay, let's do it via the UI.
Yeah.
So let's
add project.
An existing project.
And
let's say, before we do that, when we start building a project, no, actually, let's do it already. Let's create the project. While this is loading, you Salty Devil says hi.
Hello. Thanks for joining.
What we also had in a previous episode when it comes to the build output, because what we see, we now have the bin and obj folders all in our project. And in one episode where we had Martin Ulrich in teaching us about MS Build, there was a artifacts format where you can specify a directory where a consolidated directory where all of the artifacts are put in. So you only need to kill a single directory in case you want to basically get back to checked out state kind of a thing. So maybe let's jump into the MS Build files, where we can now add a .NET New, a directory, build.props, which I think, it's build props. Build props, which has the use artifacts option. So let's use that. Let's also be consistent and let's all of them. So we also add a build targets. Build targets does just as is. And also the packages props. But I forgot how this one is called. Packages props, yeah. .NET New packages props. And this one has no options. Okay, cool. So we should now have those three files.
Wow.
In our directory build.props that now, and those three files are all inherited by all our projects in the SOC folder because that's a hierarchical thing. We can. It's not
so
respecting.
Build props I've seen before. That's kind of where you have like for example, if you have a test folder and you're going to use XUnit for all of your tests, you can put them in the build props and you don't have to put them in the individual CS project files, right?
Yes, exactly.
But what are the others? I don't think I've ever seen them.
Well, build.props and build.targets are very similar. It's just that build.props, when Martin showed this to us, when you have a CS project, because the CS project here is just minimal. When you actually build it, you can parse the CS project and then you see the actual output. Maybe let's see if I can recall. Let's jump to our project. I think it's .NET MS build --pp for preprocessing. Oh, yeah, that's now doing it to the console and then writing it to a proj.xml or something. And now we see the entire MS build, which then, or the entire project, which now MS build sees, and that's like 18,000 files for a library. Okay, cool. And we will see our artifacts in here somewhere. Or the thing is, we will see just don't have it open. Yes, we will see our artifacts path here. So our director.build.props, it's included very early. So there is some stuff from MS Build before. Then our director.build.props comes in very early. Our actual project comes then, I guess, somewhere in the middle. Here is our actual project. And then the directory.build.targets comes in very late. So it's basically, with director.build.props and director.build.targets, we can order if they should be it should be inserted before our projects or after our projects, so that we can control because if we add something in director.props, we can override it in the actual project, which can now again be overridden by the directory.build.targets because that comes last. Okay. And the director packages props, that's for NuGet Restore, where we can use central package management, CPM, I think it's called for short, where we can define the versions of multiple NuGet packages or of all our NuGet packages in a single location. And if we use if we use the same package in different projects, we only need to, and if we want to update the version, we just need to do this in a singular location just here.
Okay. So it's for updating the version. It's not that when I, like to also kind of maybe avoid, what is it? Dependency. When you're trying to install a NuGet package and it says, no, you have this other NuGet package and it depends on the version, a different version, and then you have to play around. No, and get it all to order.
That's then something else.
Different. So it won't prevent it. Well, I was getting excited because that's like
this could, however, help. This could help with resolving these issues.
Okay.
Because what you can also do is transitive pinning. So let's say I have project A that depends on project B in version 1.2, and I have my project C is also depending on project B, but in version 2.0. I may get into some resolution conflicts. Actually, not in this case, but no, I think when we have project C, then depending on project D, which is then depending on project B, but in the version 2.0. So when the distance is not the same, I think this is an example where we could use then to resolution conflicts. You could then globally pin for your project here, pin version B to 2.0, which now results in project A also consuming 2.0, kind of resolve this dependency problem. But you need to consider there is now a major version difference, so there could be breaking changes. But it may also help with that. But again, nothing that you couldn't do without it.
Fair enough. Awesome.
Question about tabs and spaces. Yeah, I guess we kind of short-circuited that because this would be a full stream. Cool. Actually, so where do we want to put our artifacts? Let's put them above, so they are in the same location as source. So we can, what we can do is then say one above slash, so that we have all of our artifacts in our. Okay, I don't see that here now, but if we jump to an Explorer, we now have our source, and here's all of our artifacts, and we can safely just delete this folder if we want to basically get a clean build. Okay, so let's kill these as well. We no longer need these, and we no longer need the bins and OBJs here. Okay, cool. Now, what is, let's check if they are cool. This one needs formatting. Actually, I realize I rarely use formatting shortcut in Rider, which is Control-Alt-Enter. Yeah, we don't need this. Is basically printing hello world to the console. Yeah, we don't need that. We can leave that empty.
Oh, okay.
Wonderful. What's next? We did prepare a list. I'm not going cheating. Analyzers. We want to use analyzers. And we want to use them in all of our projects. So let's jump to the page of, because I always forget how to enable them, the SDK analyzers. We can, yes, those are these properties. Where it says code analysis properties. So we can set, oh, sorry, just noticing now, CPM, or Central Package Management, is the only way to NuGet. We can set an analysis level. I think that's per default bound to the SDK, but let's also pin that one, so we can basically upgrade the SDK without necessarily upgrading the rules, and we could do this then in a separate pull request if we want to do this. What's the word? Disjointedly. Let's also, I think that's also supports a comma, doesn't it? We can also, there we go, the 9.0. So we get the 9.0 rule set, but we can also, there is a default rule set. The default is opting into the most severe rules. But let's use all. Let's be super strict. And let's see what other analyzer configurations we have. We can treat code analysis warnings as errors, yeah. Perhaps we want to treat in general warnings as errors. Treat warnings as errors. Maybe we loosen this later a little bit, so maybe we only do warnings as errors in debug in release builds, but not in debug builds. We don't need that because we are using a .NET 5 or higher SDK. And yeah, let's enforce code styles as well. And I believe those are the analysis configs. And let's also, since we're going to do something with Roslyn, we want to also consume let's do this for all of our projects, the Microsoft.codeanalyzers.analyzers, which is a project that helps with analyzing our Roslyn-based code. Yeah. Cool. So let's add that as well. Let's jump back to we are in our project. Actually, I don't know. I totally forgot all the command lines. Let's do it with the UI. That's what we have it for. Manage NuGet packages. Microsoft.codeanalysis.analyzers in the latest version. Yes, please. And this should now actually trigger, because we see we don't get a version here. We only get the version in the directory build.props file, but not in the actual CS-proj. So we have the version here only defined once, and we can now reuse it everywhere. But now let's add this item group from our project to our directory.build.props so that all of our projects use this. And a bit of a shortcut, let's just say private assets all. I think that suffices. We don't need the rest, if I recall correctly. So all of our projects now automatically include, not only enable the default analysis, but also enable the Microsoft code analysis or the Roslyn analyzers. Cool. We also see that we implicit usings and nullable enable. Maybe let's also move this to the directory build.props so that all of our projects get this automatically. So we can remove that from here. And now our CS project is super simple and just saying, hey, this is a net9 library project. Because the default is output type. That's a library, but that's also the default. We don't need that. So yeah, now we have a net9 project. I suppose we then need to add a bunch more projects.
Yep.
Don't you prefer to move the TFM? Oh yes, sorry, just saw the message. Yeah, well, the nullable, we moved the nullable and the implicit usings, but I'm not so sure about the TFM, because maybe we want to control that on, because if you have a test project, for example, can't target net standard 2.0 because it needs to be executable. But a library can target net standard 2.0. So we may want to do some more fine-grained targeting per project. And yeah, Rodney also says move all the shared stuff to the build props.
Makes sense.
So let's add some projects that now can utilize all this directory build.props and such. So in our source, let's add a test project.
How do we do that?
Let's create. Actually, what I forgot to do, I actually wanted to move this project. Can we? I'm not sure how to do this via the. Can Git do this? This to a folder called library. So let's see if that works. Oops. Fatal error. New item. Lib. Move to here. Doesn't work. Let's do it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
But then we need to update the CS-proj anyway, the solution anyway. Okay, no, let's add the other projects and then we add them to the solution. So let's also create a tests folder for our unit tests. New item tests, and we also want to add some samples, right? And in our tests, we chatted earlier which test project to use. Is it NUnit, XUnit, or MS test? And I'm kind of leaning towards MS test, but yeah, because I haven't used it in a while.
I don't think I've ever used it. Again, I think yeah. No, I think we used XUnit previously, I think. But I've also used NUnit in a previous life. But yeah, I don't think I've ever used MS Test, I think. So I'm up for it.
It's been a
New
while,
things.
so let's see what we. Oh, there's a bunch of options. I haven't. Okay, we can use the time framework. We can check the language version. Use MS Test SDK project dial. I haven't used that. Oh, that defines the version like this. Is this cool or not? Not sure, because we kind of want to have it all centrally. Oh, wait a minute. Can we use I think SDKs can be managed in a global config, because yeah, kind of wanted to manage them centrally. But if we have every test project, because we will have multiple, have the version here, then we can't really do it on multiple locations. Oh yeah, we can do this in a global JSON though. So I've never used it. Maybe let's give that a try. So let's use the SDK flag. Test runner. Oh yeah, the default is VS Test, but let's use the MS Test runner. That's the Microsoft testing platform. That's a newer thing. VS Test is the older thing. So let's also use the new runner. I've never used it before, actually. Just looked at it. Coverage tool.
Cool.
That's also code coverage. That sounds cool. Yeah, let's use the Microsoft one, perhaps. Extensions profile. Let's say all. I'm not sure what it means. But, oh, we have a restrictive license. Is this good or bad? Maybe that's bad.
That's bad.
Let's do default then. Fixture, yeah, we don't really need any fixture. Wonderful. Okay, cool. So let's create the test project, which we will call like our project, but postfixed with .tests. So flash over analysis benchmarking .tests, and with the -- SDK, I just copied them over. We wanted to have the MS test runner and code coverage tool and the default extensions profile. Now I'm curious of what we get, because I haven't used this. Oh, yeah, in discussion, we can always override the defaults in the CS Purge. And one is mentioning that TUnit is the new kid on the block. I haven't had a look at TUnit yet.
Me neither.
I think that's very much. I think that's only supporting the new Microsoft testing platform, because it's been, yeah, it's rather new. It doesn't use the VS Test platform yet, or it has never used, and I think it does a lot of compile time generated stuff. So I guess it has a lot of source generators. Shall we take a look at it and maybe embarrass ourselves because we never used it, or shall we open an issue to inspect this later on?
I don't know. I'm kind of up for trying it out. Why not? How hard can it be?
Fair point. I guess.
What do you think? What's your gut feeling? Do you think you're gonna get stuck and then just have an hour just looking at? Okay, good.
We won't get stuck. So let's.
We never get stuck.
Oh yeah. They also ship with templates. So let's install templates pack. What's the worst that could happen? Yeah. Well, we haven't shipped anything yet, so yeah, not really anything. Cool. So
I
we get
guess
a
we'll see.
new you get a T unit, Aspire, Playwright, mix tests, Aspire tests. Isn't there like just a good old regular console kind of a thing? Or does this not include, let's see, .NET? Oh no, there it is, this one. So this is just, just T unit, cool. Dash dash help. Let's remove the previous project. And let's see what template options are. There are no template options. Cool. So it's -O and our project. And we also mentioned that we want to create a samples project. So let's go to our samples and let's do kind of the same game again, where we just copying the name so that we got it here. Do a .NET new, it's a console app. We have the samples. Cool. Now let's add all of it to our solution. And now I'm quite curious about T unit. Add existing project. Let's add our library. Oops, that's the preprocessed project. I should remove that. The library.
Yep.
The test project. Oh, it comes with a bit of sample code. Cool. And
we're going to need samples.
Oh, yes. 2 samples. I clicked the project. All right.
Great.
How does a T unit test look like? So I guess it's a class, a test, and it just does test. We have test and arguments. So this is, I guess this is like it's very
like
X unit. But yes, exactly. But it's still just a test. So there is no difference between fact or theory. It's all just test, just by adding arguments. Kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah, me too. Because sometimes you just, I comment one thing out and then run it and then realize too late.
Yeah. We also have a method data source. I also like that it's called arguments because, the arguments.
Yeah.
A method data source that returns an enumerable. Cool. Data generator. There is data and a data generator. Okay, so that's, wait a second, how does this work? Is this like the type data generator? Oh, wait a minute. The do they automate is not an attribute. Yeah, that's why. How does this work? Unless there is some stuff generated that. Ooh, okay. Now I'm curious. But I guess we need to. It doesn't build. Let's see. Well, we have the implicit usings enabled and the nullable. We have that duplicated. We can get rid of that in our examples project. And in our T unit project, we also, we don't need the nullable, not the implicit. Target framework, it's time to go 9. And we can't use the version here because we have a packages props.
But so, okay. Why can't we just get rid of everything in the CS proj and just put it into the build props or somewhere?
Well, we could do the target.
Yeah.
I'll get to that. What was that?
Okay.
That was T unit with version. So, okay. Well, we have let's take a look at the free projects. Because our benchmarking project, we may want to do later on, when we have evidence for it, we may want to do some multi-targeting, actually, or maybe let's do this right away. Multi-targeting with perhaps even net standard 2.0. So that also .NET Framework-based projects are supported. Maybe we even want to add a .NET Framework target. Let's do 481, the latest one. And yeah, perhaps we also use in a Net 9 target more when Net 10 comes out, and maybe Net 10 has some additional features that we can't use in Net 9 yet, but still want to benefit if somebody's using the Net 10. So we may want to do multi-targeting there, but the Net standard, I suppose it's going to be a problem also for T-unit, because a unit test project needs to be executable. You can't target net standard because .NET standard doesn't have any one-time assemblies. It only has build time assemblies. I'm not using the correct terminology. It also has the reference assemblies, but the reference assemblies, they don't have any implementation because it not depends on a .NET framework or a .NET Core platform to actually then implement these. So they are not executable. So this wouldn't work already. And yeah, our test project is executable, our samples project is executable, but our library is not. Our library is, we could also be explicit, say this is a library project.
Yeah.
So they kind of differ there.
Okay, fair enough.
And Rodney lets us know that T-unit also has verify support. We haven't used verify on the stream yet. Have you used verify before?
Nope. What is it?
It's a library from Summer Crop where you can write tests, where you can verify your test output against files. So when your test runs the first time, you create a file on disk, and then the next time you run the test, the result is checked against this file. And if it differs, then you get a diff view depending on the tool that you're using. And
but then if the wait, so sorry, I'm a little bit confused. Because for example, I have like a test where, yeah, I have I don't know, an entry pass, and you need to get a name and a date of birth, and then you have some test data with like a randomized name, and then you get maybe like a file output with that stuff. I don't know. I'm so bad at giving examples. This is like horrible.
When you have something,
but then, yeah, so you've got what I'm saying is you've got randomized test data, maybe, because I guess that's also what we do very often, I think, and then it would always be wrong. Right?
Exactly. Well, I guess the simplest example is already if you have a date time now, if I have the current time somewhere, that's or random.
Yeah.
It's always
see, like
random as well.
I always go complicated.
But just on GUID, I think this is you can use scrubbing. I'm not sure if they mention it here, but you can use scrubbing where you can. I think it even does it automatically. If it sees, for example, you create an XML file, a JSON file, and it sees, oh, something looks like a date. I think that verify automatically, or you can configure it, automatically scrubs this date and says then, hey, if I find a date, then instead writes date 1. So let's say I have 3 dates in my an example. Oops. Let's say we have, let's do just a short example. Oops. Now I'm writing some pseudo JSON. Let's say I have some date. What do we call it? Something 2025-0701. We have more. which is the same date, and we have else, which is now a different date, 31st. Is there the 31st of July? I hope so. Otherwise, I'm embarrassing myself. Yeah, and so, or let's say this also includes some time component, and this changes. Now, what the framework does is basically scrubbing these, and for the first date it encounters, this one, now writing date 1, it sees that this date was the same before scrubbed as this one, so this is also date 1. This is a different one, so this is going to be then date 2. So you can still verify that the same dates or same scrubbed data points are equal, but you're not depending on the exact format. Or if you have GUIDs, this could also be different GUIDs. And you can also write your own scrubbers. If you have some data that kind of changes constantly, you can write your own scrubber that is then replacing it with something else. So you get more stability in the tests.
Okay. So this would have been really helpful with unit tests in the .NET tool, right? Or would it be? Because we always, sorry.
Yeah, when it comes, we do a lot with C# sources and input and such, and I guess this is exactly why Warden is suggesting it, because we're gonna do some stuff with Roslyn. So our tests will get a C# string as input, and we could organize then the output as a file if we want to.
Okay,
I kind of do prefer the in source version, because with newer versions of the language you can, or with Wider does this also very well. You can actually format C# code, and then your C# string still gets the same formatting, and it's very easy to detect errors. But yeah, again, I guess the preference. But we can give it a try and then see if we like it. And now that we do multi-targeting, I think we already run into a build problem.
Good start.
Because we haven't pinned the language version. Yeah, the problem here is now we are using nullable reference types for a target framework that is using that standard 2.0. This is now happening exactly in our library. The default language version of .NET 9 is C#13. The default language version of .NET Framework is C#7.3, and .NET Standard is also C#7.3. But in our directory.build.props, so basically automatically we get here a nullable. We now basically have a nullable enable here. But nullable enable or nullable reference types requires 8.0. So these two targets fail now. So what we want to do is also pin the language version, so that regardless of the target framework, we override it with, say, let's all of them use the latest C#13.0 language version. And now this should build just fine. Oh, we already get some code analysis errors. Maybe we want to suppress this error, because, well, we don't really do, or we're not really concerned with localization just yet. Maybe our library, I think our library isn't even supposed to give any output. We just, yeah. So I guess we can ignore CA1303, which is indicating that we should use, something with localization, but we don't really care about localization. So let's ignore this. And we can suppress warnings. Well, there is multiple ways. We could either go into directory.props, add a no warn property, where we now say, whenever you have a property that is basically a list, you should apply this pattern where you basically extend it. So whatever came before, we use, because if we wouldn't have this, we would override it. Maybe somewhere else in the pipeline above, maybe we have no warn something. And if we were to have no one else, now this something would be overwritten by else.
Mhm.
But if we have this pattern where we say dollar braces parentheses no one, now this is using what's already there, and now the output is no one afterwards now has something else, both of it. So we don't override, we just append. That's basically the pattern here. And then we do a semicolon and say CA1303. And this is how we could suppress the warning. But I think I would like to, because we may end up with many more suppressions, so I think I'm preferring to put this in a separate file. There is, of course, also a file for that. Well, this could be also in an editor config, but I don't have the tab open. What do I? I thought I had, because I was kind of expecting this. No. This one.
Yeah.
So you can either do it in an editor config and then suppress it like so.
Yep.
But I don't really like into an editor config, because an editor config is more about style. It's about how the editor is doing stuff, but not, we are now influencing the .NET build process. So this is why I like to have a separate file. And .NET also supports that, a global analyzers file. And if that file has the name, well, it could be any file, but then you need to specify it. If you don't want to specify it, you can just use global config. Set is global true, and then can set your options to suppress. So let's also add this file. File, global config, please add. And we say is global true, and now we can start suppressing warnings like in this format. Or we actually can set, we can actually change the severity, because with the no warn you can enable and disable it. With that we can actually change the severity, and now can say CA1303. We could actually change it to a warning.
Oh.
Well, wait a minute. It actually is a warning, but we have warnings as errors, so this would still fail. But we could change it to an info, or we just say none, and with that suppress it altogether.
Completely.
And now our build should be just fine. And okay, there is some code of what's it called? T-unit. Okay, we have a lot of analysis now. Maybe we do warnings as errors. Only in release builds.
Yep.
Condition if the configuration is release, then treat warnings as errors. If I didn't make a mistake, do we also need voices here, or those? Not sure what I'm doing wrong. Well, let's use not debug. Okay. If it is not debug, then treat warnings as errors. It's still, I don't know. Okay, cool. I'm not sure what's going on. Let's move this for now. Oh, because we also have, I forgot the second one. There we go.
Ah. No.
This will not allow a condition. It should. Build succeeded. Yes, it does. Just why that doesn't seem to know it.
Yep.
Cool. Now we can take a quick look at T-unit, where the developers is joining.
Hello.
And yes, this is very much C#. And yeah, we're about to build a tool that helps you benchmarking C#, Roslyn-based compiler tools. And we are just setting up the project and taking a look at a testing framework that we never used before. Because now I'm wondering, this data generator, this is not an attribute. Oh, wait a minute. This is deriving from data sourced from the attribute, which is now an attribute. Okay. And now I'm wondering, I guess we already get a lot of source generated code of T-unit. Yeah. We get some assembly loader generated. We got a module initializer. Do you know what a module initializer is?
Yes.
Yes, you should. We actually talked about it. I forgot.
Yeah. No, I don't know if I know it like super well. It's just something that it's code that runs when the module is initialized, right? So
exactly.
Yeah, we used it in one of our trip ups where I tripped you up with that because my code ran before yours and messed yours up. Right? Is that not
exactly?
it?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, good.
I think this is where we did
Sometimes
the string.
my memory, I can't rely
string
on it.
Shenanigans,
Sometimes.
right?
Yeah. We also had an episode about that, and if you're interested, you can rewatch all of our episodes on YouTube. It's a live stream. Sometimes you have to do like your own.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It seems that creating for all of our tests, so that because it mentioned in the README that there is no reflection-based discovery of the tests, but they're all, I guess, this is all the plumbing so that the test runner then can run of our tests, but all in a statically compiled fashion, not anything dynamically evaluated during runtime. So this should also be faster technically, and also everything debuggable.
What's the issue with the namespace? It was like a namespace warning.
Yeah,
as well.
but we'll get rid of this code anyway since it's all just a demo. But let's keep it for now when we actually run the first test. So it's actually now coming to. Sorry, I guess there was a bit of a delay between stream and chat, but I wasn't.
Yeah,
that's the life experience. So let's actually write our first, like a bit of an example of how we could, or how would we, maybe let's start with how would we benchmark an analyzer without the library, and then see, maybe let's do it 2-3 times, and then we see all of the stuff that is super repetitive, and then we extract that repetitive stuff, and consolidate in a reusable library. All we need now is a generator. Do you have an idea what generator we could use?
Well, didn't we write one? When was that? Actually, quite a while ago.
Well, we actually have for our talks, haven't we?
Yeah, we did write one. It lets you deconstruct any type, and if you're interested in what that means and how you can play around with that, head to YouTube because Stefan and I went to NDC Oslo a few months ago, and gave a talk, and it was my first talk ever. So if you want to see me super scared and nervous in front of 500 people, that's where you need to go. I also learned something because you can see my hair is down because this is just how it's like the most comfortable for me, and I was like, I want to show I'm super comfortable, but I actually really messed around with my microphone, so I will never give a talk with my hair down again. So this is the one and only time.
Did you then change it in Utrecht? Sorry,
yeah,
in
I think so.
not Utrecht, in Antwerp.
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
It's okay. There was other things to worry about. Loads of ducks and that.
And perhaps we still have Jason on the show. He also built a very actually, I guess the very same generator.
Yeah.
If we noticed later, we could have just used it, which also does the creates the deconstructors automatically for your types depending on the properties that you have.
Yeah.
I'm also putting the link to that in the chat. Oh, right. So let's jump to that project. Where is it? This one. And yeah, let's just copy this one. And let's say this is now our generator benchmark. The how did we call it? The deconstruct generator. Cool. Okay. We definitely need some projects. So we definitely need Microsoft.codeanalysis.c# in order to build a source generator. So let's add Microsoft.codeanalysis.c# also in the latest version. Now again, this should add it in here, but the version is in the I guess our packages props is now filling up with more and more versions. And yeah, this should kind of compile. Yeah, let's update the namespace. So the namespace reflects the location. And it's unhappy about this because a project containing analysis and source generators should specify the extended rule set. Okay, let's do just that in our samples. And what else is analysis complaining because the application isn't typically reference from outside, can be made internal. Okay. And then there is more. Project containing analysis and source generators should. Oh, I just did. Let's rebuild. Okay. So here's the generator. And we would like to benchmark this one, which means we kind of need to run it manually. But how do we run a generator?
Good question.
Because, yeah, basically all this one has is, well, maybe we can see it in action that the does it? No, we would need to consume it as a project. So we can't see this in action. But what all we have is this initialize method. And this initialize method takes an incremental generator initialization context. But this struct, well, it's a public struct, so we can still initialize it because you can because every struct always has an context, always has a default constructor. You can't get rid of the default constructor, but the meaningful constructor is actually internal. So we can't just create this and then call our generator. So we need a different facility. And this is mentioned in the source generator cookbook. It's literally called the source generators cookbook. And well, this one describes of how you can test your source generators by using any of these packages, or you do a hand-rolled solution where we can use and this is also what tooling does, like .NET Build or wider under the hood as well, using the generator driver, where you now put in a compilation and then you get an output. So let's do exactly that. We want to run this generator. For that, we need the C# generator driver. And we need to feed it with some input. Well, and the input are incremental generators. Wonderful. So let's feed in our generator. We have the driver. And now the driver can say run generators. And also update the compilation. Let's start with run generators. And it says run generators because we could actually pass multiple generators in here. We could say, we could have, like if you have a project, then your project may have more than one generator. And this is actually why every generator needs to have this attribute. Because the tool is now searching all of the types that are annotated with this generator attribute. And if we're in a C# compilation or a C# context, then they only search for C# generators, not for Visual Basic generators. And then we'll try to load this type and pass it to the generator driver. So this is actually what will happen under the hood from a tooling perspective. And now we're gonna emulate what build tools are doing, but just in this process. And what we need to run the generator is, we need a compilation.
Okay.
Do you get some flashbacks to when we built the tool?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you remember
A little bit.
Can you remember of how we generated how we created the compilation?
The truth is no, but I'm definitely sure if you're gonna write it out, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, of course,
Oh yeah,
because we did it more than once.
Because there is compilation that's, I think, just an abstract type.
Yeah.
So that means how do we get a concrete compilation? Well, there is a Visual Basic compilation and a C# compilation.
Mm-hmm.
And this one now has a factory method, a create method, where we now pass in everything that we need in order to create this C# compilation. We need an assembly name. We need some syntax trees, which are our sources, some metadata, like our .NET 9 BCL or some additional libraries that we could load via NuGet and such. And also some compilation options. Okay.
But they're all nullable, so we actually just need the...
they are all nullable indeed. So actually, we don't need anything.
We don't need... Perfect. Easy.
So should we just no, there we go, and see how far we get.
Done.
Okay.
No, let's, I mean...
let's see if that runs. It does.
Easy.
But I guess, we don't, because now let's also observe the output. Wait a minute, how does, because, we want to update the compilation. Let's actually, because we can also say run generators and update compilation, which now generates an output compilation and also a bunch of diagnostics. Cool. And it also has a cancellation token. That's not, maybe we don't need the cancellation token for now. Don't want to cancel it. It's default anyway. And if we now would like to take a peek at the output compilation and take a peek at the generated sources. Okay, now how can we check the generated sources? I totally forgot. We did this when we wrote the tool did we?
Yeah.
That finds the source generators that finds the source generator, that finds interceptors, because for that we needed to scan source generated code.
Yeah.
But syntax trees sounds good. Can we just toString a syntax tree? Wait a minute, that's syntax trees. That's a collection. Yeah. Let's select each tree. Can we just toString this? And let's see, basically to check what the output is. Oops. And okay, why is this? Oh, this one is okay. I think that's the Waslin analyzers kicking in, because we shouldn't use console white line. That's a banned API. But in our samples, I guess that's fine. So what we could do now is copy the global config that we have, and we paste it in the samples project. Unable to perform. Let's do it via the good old Explorer. And now suppress the, what was the diagnostic ID?
It's no idea.
RS1035, because yeah, in our samples project, we don't care about RS1035. Cool. And I suppose we're gonna see nothing, won't we? Oh, we actually get, okay. This is not how we toString it. Is there maybe a toDisplay string? No. Can we get the root and then get a display string out of that? Or can we just toString full string? Sounds promising. I'm doing something wrong here. Interesting. That's just a bunch of strings. Because we get the, wait a minute, we get the enumerator. It's like we, yeah. Oh, we learned about the enumerator pattern. So somewhere we get in the type. Oh, there we go. I'm using the wrong. I should print this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's
I should have seen that as well. Right.
Ooh, and our generator. Ooh, yes, our generator is actually creating something already. Let's do a couple of dashes here so that we see the difference of those two files. Our generator is putting out the attribute, this generated, the attribute that we can put on the
types.
What's it called? Yes. And also, okay, apparently we create this because we emit the generated. I guess there is kind of, you could do this in two ways. You either emit the deconstructor method as in a partial type to that class, then you need to make that class partial, or you can also extend it as an emit it as an extension method. We chose the extension method portion, and apparently what our source generator does is if it's not finding anything, it's still emitting this empty extensions type. Yeah, I guess we could totally get rid of that, but as an optimization. But yeah, let's not think about that. But yeah, actually, it does. We can't just pass in an empty compilation, and well, it's a valid compilation, just not have anything. But our source generator already triggers.
Perfect.
And I suppose now we may want to benchmark that. So let's bring in benchmark.net. I have the tab open for benchmark.net. I suppose I don't. Oops.
Yep.
And yeah, let's get started. We need another NuGet package. Does it not mention it? Getting started. There we go. We need benchmark.net. And that's in 1502. Then we can actually start our very benchmark. Let's create sample benchmark, or maybe sample benchmarks, because we could have multiple benchmarks in the file. And now we have the benchmark attribute available. It's very similar to a test, where you annotate a test with the test or fact or some attribute, and you can annotate your benchmark methods similarly. And we could now just move everything. Well, it's not going to be ideal, but we could move everything.
Do you also do this like arrange act? No, we don't assert.
Well, kind of.
Yeah.
You kind of need to separate this as well. We'll just get to that.
Okay.
So we definitely don't need the output. And actually, we don't need that either. We just want to generate the output compilation, and maybe we return this output compilation out of this benchmark method. So yeah, this is definitely not ideal. We'll come to that. But this benchmark method is run a lot of times, and then we generate some statistics out of that of how long it takes and such. And it's good practice to return something out of a benchmark. Well, I guess in this case, not sure if the runtime really would eliminate things, but yeah, it could in some cases, depending on the methods called. The JIT compiler could remove unused code, and in order to avoid that, you could then just ensure that you return something, and now the JIT can't eliminate some dead code because yeah, it's all required. And then, since a benchmark application, that's just a console application with some setup code, and that's exactly via the benchmark runner. So in our main method, we have benchmark runner.run. But there is also then you can run a specific benchmark, for example, our sample benchmark. But if you have multiple benchmarks, then you need a selector, then you need a switcher to switch between the benchmarks, and this is the benchmark switcher. They'll say, okay, cool. From this assembly, let's run all of them. And now, let's open a source samples separate terminal. What we can now do is .NET run. And we have some more errors because an applications API isn't typically referenced outside. We can make it internal. Do we still have warnings as errors? So for some reason this is still triggering. I thought we disabled it. Maybe to get things running, let's think about the analysis later.
Okay.
Just quickly comment this out to only have like some recommended set. We'll definitely bring it later. Bring it back later, but just to get something running. Okay, and we still get a Roslyn. The compile extension should not be implemented in assembly that targets net 9. Yes, because if we ship a generator, this must be implemented in that standard, because a source generator or assembly that contains a source generator that should be a NuGet package could be loaded by, for example, the .NET SDK, which is written in .NET. Could be loaded by Rider, which is also running on .NET, but it could also be loaded by Visual Studio, which is still running on .NET Framework. But .NET Framework doesn't support the net 9.0 target. Therefore, in general, Roslyn compiler extensions, like analyzers, source generators, they all need to target net standard 2.0. But in our example here, we don't load it as where we have this generator, we don't ship it as a package or anything. We just need it for an example. So we can safely ignore this rule in our sample here. So we go to our editor configure for our samples and suppress RS1004 as well. So we should now be able, I guess still one mistake when we run it. I'm expecting still one mistake because I'm not trying to run. This is now what this benchmark switcher is doing. It finds all of the benchmarks. Currently we only have one. But if we have multiple, then they list all of them. And there's also some way of filtering. And then it complains that we try to run a benchmark in debug configuration. What you usually want to do when you benchmark something, you want to measure the release configuration with all the optimizations in place, because you're always very likely going to ship a release build of your library, or deploying your application in a release configuration, not in debug. You want to have all these optimizations and all tiered compilation, everything that Kevin showed us on the other stream, all these nice optimizations. So we also want to test under these circumstances. You can actually set a debug configuration, or is it called debug? Is it called debug config, where you could so that you can actually debug like with breakpoints and such into your benchmarks, but per default build it in release. So let's say -C for configuration release, and now.
But why would you debug into your benchmark to see where bottlenecks are?
Yeah, maybe you maybe you have a bug somewhere in your benchmarking code.
Okay.
And you wanna debug into
of course.
that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But usually not. I think what you technically could do is you can actually, because if I were trying to debug this now with Rider, I can, but still get the same problem and the application closes. But if I actually want to debug it, there is because one takes 2 arguments, if I recall. Let's take a peek. Oh, sorry, I had just seeing the message. Yay, benchmarking.
Yay.
Oh, yeah, we can pass in the console arguments. We definitely want to do that. And then also pass in a config. So let's forward the console arguments. Oops, org. I know what org.
Little German lesson here.
Org. Okay, never mind. We put in the come on, args. We can put in the command line arguments into there, and also a config.
I can't see it now, even with the real args.
You can't see it.
Unsee
you can unsee it. Oh yeah. So we can create like a default config. Config. And if we have what is debugger.attached? Debugger.attached. We could say if the debugger is attached, then we instead use is this the debug config? Is this new debug config? If I'm doing this right. And now we actually should be able to debug into our benchmark. Can I create instance of abstract? No, that is not how it works. Let's check the docs because they mentioned this. Is this a feature? No, is this configs? There we go. Debug, validators, filters, samples maybe. Is it called debug? I'm wondering because there is a debug config type. Let's see what. Yeah, it is abstract indeed. Let's see what static. Maybe it has a static member that we can. Oh, there is one. Debug build config. Or the debug in process config. Okay, I guess one of these. And now, oops, now we should be able to hit the breakpoint when we debug. Yeah, so this now actually works, and we can just as usual debug into our benchmark. But yeah, this is when you want to use it for debugging. If we don't have a debugger attached, then we definitely want to run it in release mode. So let's do just that. And this will now run our benchmark a lot of times. We hope to get the author of benchmark.net on the stream to actually explain what's going on under the hood, because I'm not an expert. All I do is running it and then take a look at the numbers and act like it's all cool. So it's now running our method. What we see, it runs our method a bunch of times. So there's first some just-in-time compilation overhead. Then it does some warm up. And then it has some actual overhead and some overhead warm up. And then eventually does workload actual and workload result. I'm not really sure what the difference is, but I think this is actually where, then what is considered actually for the one. So the code is run a lot of times so that we get the most optimized version of the code. What did Kevin said on the stream? How often does a method need to run in order it to be tier 1 compiled? I forgot the number.
Me too.
But
guess we need to go on YouTube and rewatch the episode if you're interested. My sales pitches are so bad. But yeah, the episode is on our YouTube channel if anyone's interested. It was really it was a good one.
I need to rewatch it myself. I forgot already.
Yeah, same.
But to get all of the just-in-time optimizations in, and then we check the most optimized version that is, because, well, you usually benchmark a method that is bound to run a lot in your code.
Yeah.
If you have like a method that runs at startup once, you don't really care too much. But if it's a method that runs on every HTTP request into your service, then and since this method will run a lot, it will have all of the tiered JIT compilation, everything enabled. So this is also the condition that you want to run the benchmark in, so that you get actual numbers of how it will behave in your production system. And what I forgot, what we can also do, because these are how are these called? For output things. We can also add, if I can remember the name now, diagnosers. Yeah, we can add a memory diagnoser as well, which is now showing allocations. I think what this does is doing everything that was done before, but then doing at the end one additional one with some, and then analyzing the GC stats of that. So we get a number of heap allocations that our method did. And we see that the entire benchmark method ran for 55 microseconds, some statistical error and standard deviation. We also get descriptions down there. And we allocated 32 kilobytes of memory. The thing is, we're kind of lying, because we are doing way more than we actually need. We are running, we're creating the generator instance every time, which is usually when you load a generator. I think that the tool is creating this only once. And since the constructor is kind of, you only have a default constructor for your generators. That's nothing really we have under control, nothing we can optimize there. And also, source generators shouldn't really have any instance fields. So there isn't really a impact on, or something changeable on constructors. So we don't want to measure the constructor. We are creating the generator driver, which we use to run the benchmark. But it's also not under control, because actually the only thing that we want to benchmark is the generator itself. So this is now where it becomes tricky, because the initialize method of the generator only runs once. But then every time we run the generator, this pipeline that we set up is rerun every time, and then eventually the output is generated. So we want to run only our generator code, and as little as possible from any setup or teardown code. And I think this now tears in what you mentioned earlier. Is there also something like a setup teardown? Do we have the entire, or no, not mentioned arrange act assert? Kind of a thing. So we don't really want to do the arrange phase in our benchmarking loop, because that's also not our control. We just want to benchmark the Gaussian component under test. And well, if it just was a regular method where we pass in something and then get some output, we would just call this method easy. But since it's actually, we need this generator driver, and for analyzers and all the other Gaussian extensions, there is similar things to the generator driver, and this is now what our library could abstract array to simplify all of that, and so that only the generator runs. Now, doing a little bit naive solution here, what generator also has, similar to a setup method in a test, we have a setup. This one is called global setup because the global setup runs per default for every benchmark. If we would have multiple benchmarks, this global setup is running once before the benchmark.
Okay.
So we can now do our setup here and say, okay, that's all part of the setup, where we instantiate our generator, where we instantiate the driver, and we create a compilation that we use as an input. So we definitely want to have the driver and the compilation as fields to this benchmark. Well, we set it up in a method, not in a constructor. So null analysis doesn't know. Yeah, now complaining that they are not null. What we can do is basically suppress this warning, because we ensured that we are initializing these two in the setup. But the Gaussian analyzer, the null static flow analysis doesn't know that this is a benchmark.net test, and if we run this method, this will be run, ensuring that these will be initialized. Yeah, Gaussian doesn't know that, so we kind of say, yeah, we deal with it.
Okay.
And then we could run it again, and now we should get more realistic numbers. I'm still not sure they are really realistic, but more realistic, at least. Let's see what we got now.
So fast. Actually, right?
Well,
doesn't this usually take ages?
Well, ages. Well, it does take a bit, yeah. I guess it also depends a lot of the method, since the method is not, it's running very short. This is actually what is concerning me, because I think there is also a lot of memorization going on in our generator. But let's, yeah, I think you're having I haven't thought about this. This is actually a very good point. I think this is too fast. This may be too fast. What I'm thinking is that because incremental source generators, they use memorization heavily. And the feeling that I have is that only the first one is kind of the expensive one, and then all the subsequent ones see, okay, we have the same input, so no new output needs to be generated. I think, I'm not 100% certain, how could we confirm that thought of mine? Because, if we jump to the generator, we see that we have, which is the post initialization. I think this is only called a singular time. So this is only called once and not called again. So we're totally not benchmarking that. Yeah, perhaps we also want to have some flags. I guess we now, yeah, this is too fast. I guess we're now developing the features. What we want to do, we want to configure, include the post-initialization in the repetitive runs. Do we want to include this or not? Because currently, I think it's only run once and then never again.
Okay.
And then later on, when we do the benchmark, but we have run the method already, well, definitely more than once before we come to the actual benchmark. So this is effectively not part of the benchmark. So we may want to offer a flag to, perhaps we're not sure, perhaps we want to include it per default, and then we can opt out of the post-initialization phase, because again, post-initialization runs only once. But perhaps you want to actually benchmark that as well. Or maybe we want to have an opt-in or opt-out. Maybe an opt-out is more sensible. Okay, not certain anymore. But oops, very top. Offer opt-in or opt-out. And then, in the actual phase, well, we build up a pipeline. We search attributes. Well, we won't really find any. We actually won't find any. So this generator doesn't do anything because we, in our compilation, doesn't include any class even, where the generator could do some work. So we may actually want to give the generator some work. So we definitely want to set up a proper compilation.
Okay.
Because you're right, we're way too fast, but only because we don't do anything. Cool. So now we need a syntax tree.
Yeah.
Well, we need an assembly name. Benchmark test example. Not sure.
Yep.
And we need syntax trees. Where let's start with a single syntax tree. Is there I totally forgot. Is the C# syntax tree? There is indeed. And how can we create one? We can create, there's now 2 ways we can create it. Here there's like the C# syntax factory. Or is it just syntax factory? It's just syntax factory. Because what we could do, will I now remember the new site? Is that lab.razor.fyi? There is 2 ways of how we could create it, because effectively what we want is
that's a new site.
That's the similar to sharplab.io. But I think this one doesn't have the problem of overwriting a text all the time.
Yeah, but it's the first time you're using it on the stream, right? It's the first time I've seen it.
Yes.
Yeah, drum roll. This is like a turning point in your I don't know, tab history, because it used to be like sharplab at least once a day, right?
Yes.
Let's say 5 times a week. Let's say 5 times a week. I'll give you the weekend. Or when you're on sharplab on the weekends as well.
I'm afraid I am. I'm afraid I am.
Okay.
And
they're going to miss you.
Well, okay, I think it's not 50-50, but it's getting more and more, yeah.
Okay, I need to, lab.razor.fyi. Okay, good.
Because actually what we want to generate, we actually need some properties.
Yep.
That our int number, that we can then create the, what's it called? The generated code from, and we are putting the, how do we call it? I think generated deconstruct. Generated deconstruct. There we go.
Yep.
Oh, Jason's also liking the Razor Lab quite a bit. Haven't touched sharplab in a while, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, is a little tricky. Yeah, especially when you're sort of like looking somewhere else and typing something and then everything gets deleted.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And
good to have alternatives.
We also need because we emit this generated deconstruct attribute in this namespace, so we also need the using for that. There we go. Using for that, and now we could generate this tree from, where is it? Syntax tree. We could generate this tree with the syntax factory by creating compilation unit and adding the using directives and adding then the namespace declaration, the class declaration, and everything. But that's kind of unwieldy. It would be cool to just, since we do it in a setup, we can just create it from a string. And so we could just parse the text, do a nice raw string literal. And this one is now unfortunately not annotated. I think we can use, how does this work? Lang equals to C#, if I recall correctly, so that we get this nice highlighting.
Cool. That's
what we could
cool.
also do is that our library is kind of abstracting this array where we just pass in a string, and then it does this automatically without you needing to add this attribute. There's also something that our library could do in an helper method, so that I don't think this works for Visual Studio, but for wider users, then they automatically get this highlighted, or this format, this properly syntax highlighted string, C# string. And cool. So let's add these trees. What else do we need? Oops. We also, because, the question now is, because now I'm asking you a question.
Oh my goodness.
What is a string?
A string is a reference type.
Yes, and what reference type is it? What's the name of the type?
Class? No.
Yes, this is a class, but what is then the name of this class? What the string keyword represents?
What does this, string with S, yeah.
Exactly.
Capital S. Yeah.
Where does this string type live? In which namespace?
System?
In the system namespace, correct.
Good.
What about the int keyword? What's the int keyword gonna be?
Oh no. Wait. Okay, I might get this wrong. Is it value? Value type?
It's a value type. So we got a struct.
But we don't.
Yes.
Okay. But struct is of type, value type.
Struct is a value type. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nobody knows has the. Never mind. Yes. What was the question?
I guess if you look at the chat, there is a hint.
Damn it. Let me just think about this.
But I act like I haven't seen it.
It's a system.int32.
Exactly.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah. And it's also in system, right? But where are they? Like, considering because we are now creating a compilation.
Yeah.
Where are they? It's a bit. It may be a stupid question. Yeah. In the meantime, I will try to run this, and because if we now try to, let's actually run this here, and do a breakpoint, because we can now debug into our benchmark, and take a peek at the diagnostics, because I'm expecting a bunch of diagnostics. Maybe the diagnostic then is giving a hint of there will be something missing, or I expect something missing. I may embarrass myself. Let's run the sample benchmarks, and we get 0 diagnostics. Now that is surprising to me. I would have expected a complaint that the types are not found because there is no string and there is no int. Interesting. Let's do the other game as well, where we check the output. Or is it, maybe it's not on the generator itself, because the generated code is fine. But maybe it's on the compilation already. Now I'm not sure. How can we there is a way how to get diagnostics out of a compilation. Basically compile it, if I recall. Get diagnostics.
Oh,
I'm expecting to see something.
okay.
Yes, there they are. So we have 18 diagnostics. Well, this could be warnings and errors,
Yep.
but we actually have 18. Let's filter where the diagnostic dot severity is of. Let's filter all the errors. And we got 16 errors. The type or namespace system could not be found. Predefined type object is not defined or imported. System string, system void, external init that we use that is required for the init keyword. There is none of these types. Since we are building our compilation from scratch, now we only added, where is it? There. We only added some source code, but we haven't added references or metadata references that contain the other code. What's missing basically is the BCL. That's not just magically there. What you could do is basically do type of, let's say, of the void type, and then get the assembly from there. And somehow, because I totally forgot, we need a metadata reference, and there is a create from file. And we could say, hey, yes, maybe we say var refs, because that's also a collection, and dot location. I think file path. Create from file. File takes a string, and location is a string. And this fails because there is no target type. Oh, yes. Portable executable reference, which is a metadata reference. So we create our metadata reference array. Now, yeah, we could do that. But what I don't like about that solution is that this is now very much depending on the location or because yeah, we want to import the BCL.
Yeah.
Basically, we want to target for, let's say, net9, where the BCL for net9 is included. But yeah, we are using this type of void, which is now the current assembly. So the assembly that our samples benchmarks is running on. So we get the net9. What I don't like too much about this is that this net9 is now very much tied to the reference assemblies that we use in our benchmark. So they're not disjoint. Because what I prefer is, hey, I'm explicitly using net9. I could still run the test under net8 using a net9 compatible compiler, and everything is still great, but the test itself runs under net8. Does this kind of make sense?
A little bit. Yeah.
And there is a NuGet package for that, but I always forget how it's called.
Amazing.
Oh yeah, because that's not too easy to extract these reference assemblies.
I bet.
Because we actually only need, that's the thing, we only need the reference assemblies. We don't need the implementation assemblies. The difference is, like, for example, net standard 2.0. Net standard typo, but doesn't matter. Net standard 2.0 only consists of reference assemblies. There is no implementation. It's basically only the type signatures and all the public methods and members. So all the properties, all the methods, everything that is public, but only the signature. If we have a method, then this method is empty. If this method returns something, then I think the reference assembly is just for an exception. There is no implementation in the reference assemblies. It's only used for compilation, so that you can, so that you see the type and you can say dot and go into it. And in the implementation assemblies, these you need at runtime. But for our purposes, we don't need the runtime assemblies. because we just want to create a compilation and compile it. We are not running the code that we source generate. We are running the source generator that generates the code that we don't run. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
And I always forget the name of the package that has this. Is it nougat.frameworks? I am uncertain. Nougat.frameworks. Let's see. Oh, maybe we should do it on the screen. I'm actually not sure. Let's give it a try, because I always forget what this library is. But I have the feeling it's not. Oh, maybe that's a newer one, or one that I haven't used before. The one I'm searching for, I think it's from Jared Parsons, the compiler lead of Roslyn, or C#, and also Visual Basic, so Roslyn, yeah. Something with basic in the name. Basic assembly something. But let's see how far we get. So that's nougat.frameworks. Let's see, can we say nougat.frameworks. Is there something like, wow, I'm really super unfamiliar with, maybe Jason, do you know how to use that? I have absolutely no clue. Yep, holding on. I'm not searching the. Oh, I think that's the project that I was thinking about, but perhaps there is, I guess there's always. Does this translate to English? There's multiple ways to roam.
I don't know. I think. No, I don't have a. I don't have a phrase.
Yeah. Well, because with that project, you can say reference assemblies.net 8, and then you get the ones for net 8, although we run in net 9, or we could also use the ones for net standard or whatever. So we now disjoint from the. But there is, okay, look at get net 9 method. Maybe we can. Oh, so like with Nougat with the Nougat frameworks, you're actually downloading them. The question is, where does this one live? Can we? Is there some source browser that helps with? I don't have to. Yes. Do you have the AI plugin installed?
I've used it before.
Let's see. Where does the get net 9.0 method live in the package / namespace? In the meantime, oh, there's a link. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. The link got evaporated by YouTube, so it seems it's not in Nougat frameworks. Do we have another channel where you could send the link? Not sure. Or maybe the name of the. Oh,
write an email to.
Works. There we go, and called Test Assistant. Test Assistant, cool. And get net 9. Ah, yes, Test Assistant.
Perfect. Yep.
And oh, this is the. Do we find that one here? Now I wish GitHub would have like a similar test browser experience, like in. Ah, cool. Ooh, Ooh, cool. Cool. Oh yeah, and then we create the reference assembly. Amazing.
Nice. Copy, paste.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Easy.
And yeah, I guess we could also then, if you don't mind, I guess this is also what our package could similarly solve. Oops. Reference assemblies. We don't know that type. Is this the reference assembly live in a different NuGet package? Oh, we could check. CS purge. Oops. CS purge. No, it should be all NuGet.frameworks, unless this didn't work out. Actually, what was on which type? What did the SI assistant mention? Yeah, well, this method doesn't exist, so I can't find it. NuGet.frameworks, but I can't get the reference assemblies type file. Not sure what I'm doing wrong. We have NuGet frameworks. Is that in the, we have colonizer C#. Ooh, I didn't know. That's cool. You can suppress warnings on a package level.
Nice.
Amazing. And that's in Microsoft Code Analysis .testing. We are missing the package Microsoft.codeanalysis.testing. I guess this one should suffice. Yeah.
Nice.
And cool.
Perfect.
And we can now, okay, so we're basically building, asking NuGet to give me the net9 assemblies, and then, or for net9, create the net9 reference assemblies. And let's see if this is doing the job, because we don't need the, yeah, for our refs, we can now basically specify ourselves which version we have and test it. Oh, how do we guess there is also then a way to convert this into metadata references? Take one last peek. References. That's a separate. That's not. But then we would need to use the, because this is really Microsoft.testing. Microsoft Code Analysis.testing. And I'm not sure if we would like. I guess then our setup. I guess we then would need to use the source from this packet. Well, we would need to consume the not Microsoft Code Analysis.testing dot source generators, or how this one is called. But I don't think this type is really optimal for, well, this type is optimal for testing, but I don't think it's optimal for benchmarking. So perhaps we are looking for the other package that is basic.reference.assemblies. Oh, there's also variants for all of the different target frameworks. I think if we get this base package, then we have all of them.
Oh.
And we should then be able to just say reference assemblies dot. And where are we? There we go. Ref assemblies dot net. Oh, net8. Okay, cool. I guess this hasn't been updated for net9 just yet. And this one only includes the, that's a portable reference. Oh, that's already is a collection. Okay. So we can just pass this one in here. And now we are, well, we could also say, let's do net standard 2.0. And now we are independent of the target framework that our project is, or our executable is using. Well, actually, net standard wouldn't work because net standard doesn't have the, we also have the init, which requires I forgot the name of the type, but this name of the type that's required for the init keyword doesn't exist. Well, we could add it manually to the compilation, but yeah, let's use the net8. And now we should be able to run this without any more errors, I think.
Hello, Stuart. Thanks so much for joining.
Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, because... Oh, now there is 2 different reference assemblies types. And now C# is, it's not, there's a name clash. Cool. And we now get only 6 diagnostics left. And okay, they're all compiler, so I guess they are quite... Ooh, I didn't know this view. There is a collection view from wider. I guess the zoom level is a little bit too hardcore, but we see, oh yeah, we still have 3 arrows.
4.
That, oh yeah, 4.
Okay.
Can we get the, like the text?
What?
Where's the text? Custom tag, code, category, arguments, locations, location. I want to see like the message.
Yeah.
Is there no message?
Was there something with description? Maybe. Oh.
Description. Oh, what's the description? Then I
don't know.
Notice it.
It's so fast. My eyes are slow.
And now how did I get into this view? Because now it's a different view.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to read the docs.
Oh no.
The type of namespace.
There it is.
Found. Generated deconstruct attribute couldn't be found. So does the generator something problem with there? And program does not contain a static main method. Ah, yes, the static main method is because we're expecting this. There is no main method. We were expecting this to be a library. So we need to set the output kind of our compilation. I think this is now where the compilation options come into play. No, actually, no, not the compilation options, but the compilation options, yeah. Because the default is the output kind, I think, is an executable. The minimum we will need to set is an output kind, and I think the default is a console application. And what we want to do is a DLL, so it's just a library. So we don't have an it doesn't need to be executable. We don't need to have an entry point. And yeah, there is much more that we can set, like check overflow, allow unsafe. I guess we did this in our talk somewhere. You need to set the allow unsafe property in MS Build in order to allow the unsafe keyword and unsafe code in C#.
Yep.
And then if you do this in MS Build, then what MS Build is doing when it starts the compiler, it starts the compiler with this flag enabled, basically. And we could do this manually here as well. Okay, so we now have a library, but we still had problems with finding this namespace, which the generator actually should generate, but not sure where the issue there is. That is, oh yes, because in here, the generator hasn't run yet. When we get the diagnostics here, the generator didn't run here yet, but we could get the diagnostics of the output compilation. Now this, because the output compilation now contains both the original source and the generated source. And now we should have, okay, only one diagnostic left, and that's a...
you got the view again.
Some hidden severity. And you mentioned, is there a description?
Maybe I...
there it is, there it is.
Yes. Descriptor.
Oh, it's a descriptor. And this one now contains the description, I suppose. Description. which is some localizable string, and I guess can be quite easily. Also,
Yeah.
how did I got into the SU again? Now if I go again, I get the other
Yeah.
field. I'm super confused. Unnecessary using directive. Okay, but that's just a well, it's not even a warning. So yeah, okay, but all the errors are gone. So I guess what we could do is, if there is where static diagnostic, where the diagnostic severity is error.
Yep.
And if we have any errors, then any error, then like throw invalid operation exception. Compilation had errors. Yeah. Okay. But now this is cool. So now if we run this, if we now inspect the output, or actually if we inspect the output compilation and we get the syntax trees. How did we do this earlier? Select tree gets the root and then two full string. Output texts. We should now see how that the generator is actually generating the code that we expected to be generated. So we see that the generator actually is doing something, because previously it was quite idle and therefore being super fast. Yeah, so here's our generated, that's our generated attribute. Here is our, wait a second. No, wait a minute, that's the input. Can we view that string? There we go. Oh, so this is our input. Then this is the source generated attribute. And here is now we see this deconstruct extensions that we generate is no longer empty. And we actually do create the deconstructor.
Awesome.
And now what I'm wondering, for the fun of it, could we include, because I guess less code is more code? No, that doesn't make sense. Less code is more. Perhaps you can use JSON's package, because we haven't deployed our generator as a well, that would only work if the generator, if it's declared public, then we could just use this generator. If you don't mind.
If we may.
If we may, because then we can just kill our generator. Well, this would also only work if the generator also emits the attribute. So let's take a look at it could also be included as a library, then I guess it wouldn't quite work the way we intended. So I think it may not. Context dot. Oh no. Oh yeah.
What happened?
Has been looking at it for quite a while. No, I'm wondering if we. Yeah, but I don't think that JSON's generator is your generator isn't emitting the attribute as well, right? So you're supplying the attribute as a library, actually, if I get that right. And then then the setup is a bit, yes. So the attribute, because our generator ships it as well, not ships it, but generates it as well. So it's super easy to test in our case. Now, for our setup, if we would use this generator, we would also need to include this library somehow, which now gets a little bit more evolved. So okay, so let's stick with our generator. And looking into
So in the future.
Because the resulting NuGet package is copying the assembly twice. Okay. So yeah, some potential optimizations. Actually, also just today learned for preparing for the session, when your source generator is actually something that we need to do in our source generator as well. When your source generator is emitting an attribute, then you need to put yet another attribute on this attribute that the source generator emits, something with compiler, something. Code analysis something. This one, the Microsoft Code Analysis embedded attribute. Oh yes, let's do those faster. The embedded attribute, which you need to put on attributes, or I think in general on types that may occur multiple times. Because what if I have, if the source generator, or if one generate, because I could have a source generator that creates, for example, this is external init. You need the is external init. Actually, let's take a peek at this. If we were targeting net standard 2.0, but our code is using the init keyword. In order for the init keyword to work, you need the is external init type available. So we now actually should run into this. We should now have an error. Let's confirm that, and we should get exactly that error where the is external init is missing. Okay, I get diagnostics. And we, oh no, because we are, yes. And it should say something with is external init. Yeah, external init is not declared. Now it could be that maybe I consume 2 generators. And both of these generators are emitting this attribute. Now I would have a duplicate definition of this attribute, and then the project that is consuming the project would fail to build. Unless you would emit this attribute with the embedded attribute on it, then it wouldn't fail. I think then it's more local to the generator. I'm not entirely certain if I got that right, but this is what I would expect then to be. And yes. Oh, the other option would be, and this is what Jason actually did. The other option is that you define this marker type, so marker attribute, actually as a library, so that they don't get generated twice or something. I see. Okay, cool. A bit of an. Oh, we are totally over time.
Surprise!
Surprise. But yeah, but we're getting there. So okay, we can now. Let's actually see if now the generator is doing more work, because, well, coming back to what you initially mentioned, it's way too fast. Now the generator is actually generating code, as we now confirmed. And we could also, maybe because if you do something wrong with the setup here, maybe I forget to put this attribute here, comment this attribute out, now the source generator wouldn't do the work that we expect it to do. So maybe our library could also do something like, there is a global cleanup as well, which gets executed after the test. And we could then in the cleanup, do something like a small test, some test code where we could like assert that maybe whatever sources have been emitted. Or maybe even check the string of the emitted code to be super precise. I mean, it shouldn't really be a replacement for proper testing framework like Microsoft Code Analysis testing, but maybe like a bit of a sanity check to quickly confirm, is the generator actually doing what I expect it to do, without going into debugging all too much. And because then we could actually kind of move this down to this teardown, and then our generator or our benchmark would crash at the end saying, okay, something went wrong. And since it's a cleanup, it's not part of the actual benchmark, so it wouldn't falsify the result.
Okay.
Oh yeah, our compilation has errors because I didn't fix it. Yeah, now we saw the benchmark failing. So we need the net 8 again, and also the attribute should be so that the generator is doing some work. Yeah.
What?
We got slightly distracted.
Yeah. It's very untypical for us.
Wait.
We're usually super focused. What's like the wildest tangent that we ever gone on, do you think?
What tangent did we went on with Matthias?
Yeah, what
Because
did we?
We kind of went
That was-
really wrong.
Yeah, I think it was our longest stream ever, right?
Yeah. I think it was almost 4 hours. Yeah.
No, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it
What
was
it
4 hours.
Yeah. I need to check the episode to see what we.
Yeah,
what we,
and if you would like to check the episode, you can watch all of our previous episodes on our YouTube channel. Wow, 3 times in just 2 hours.
Wonderful. And yeah, now we see we are actually doing now a little bit more work.
Yeah.
I'm still not 100% certain though. I'm not sure if still. Well, we're not doing more work, so it kind of looks better, but I'm not entirely certain if there may be some additional caching going on, because Waslin, that's why a lot of stuff in Waslin is immutable, so that it's super cacheable for performance optimizations. And now I'm wondering if some caching is going on, and I'm not sure how could we check this. Let's have 2 benchmarks where we basically do everything, right? Well, we don't need to generate the syntax tree. We could move the tree to a local. And, well, no, to a field actually. Syntax trees array, please, thank you. And we could also, because maybe we should, I'm maybe not doing a little bit too much than needed, but just trying to basically see some difference. If we create a new, I also need to cache the generator. If there is some caching, some memorization going on already. So what if we generate the driver in new, generate the options, we can reuse these as well. But generate the compilation anew, and then running the generator driver and returning the output compilation. This may be doing too much, so this is like all. Maybe what if we don't do the generator driver, just the compilation, and then this example. Question is now not really sure what I'm expecting there, because we will get, oops, build failed. Must contain, oh yeah, nullable diagnostics. And since we do, well, we only see there's a warning here, but we have warnings as errors.
Oh.
And we're running the benchmark under release. Therefore, we fail. I mean, the results will differ because we just do more work in the other ones. But I'm wondering if this shows something, or at least then gives a bit of a pointer for our next show. If what's the minimum work? What's the minimum work that the benchmark loop has to do in order to get representative results? So that, because I guess in order to really test the performance of a benchmark, or the performance of a generator, I guess there's two kind of thoughts to it, because, well, especially an incremental generator, maybe this would be simpler for just a regular source generator, but you shouldn't use them anymore because they don't do any memorization. They just run unconditionally. I guess it's super easy. We just run the generator, all is good. But with the incremental generator, since they are incremental, they do a lot of optimizations if the output is already known, then some steps can be omitted or omitted, and then just reuse the previously cached result. That's the memorization aspect. And I guess to really, maybe there's also something that our library kind of should offer, to either benchmark with the memorization to check if it's properly memorized, so that we actually, because for this memorization to work, you need to have those types that you pass in between the steps. They need to be properly comparable, either by being equatable or by providing equality comparer that properly does the equality comparison. Because only if the input of a step is the same and it's checked by value, or well, with the equals, which should be properly implemented, is the same, then the output can be reused. And maybe you want to benchmark your generator with that feature in place. Maybe you want to test, but then none of your code, well, only a part of your code may run. Maybe you want to test it without that. So all of the code runs, and you really benchmark all of the code all over again. And you can optimize basically the part when your generator really is generating something or updating that was generated because stuff actually has changed, which I can imagine should be more of the default, to run all of the code every time, so that when benchmark.net now runs this method a bunch of times, that we actually then get, what was run, and then this can be then optimized. And I'm not certain if this is now good or bad. I guess what we could also do, just for maybe this will be the cliffhanger of this episode, to take a peek of what these individual steps actually take, and then compare basically if this makes sense. I'm not sure if this sentence kind of made sense, but let's do driver create to understand what are the individual portions, how long do they take, and then maybe this gives a sense of, does this add up to what we expect? This is the create compilation. This is the run and return. Well, we do have that part, right? Run and return. Yes. Run. This is compilation and run. And this is driver and compilation and run. And let's see if this adds up somehow. And then we can plan the next step then for the next stream of putting this into a general purpose type that can be reused, which then does the correct thing. And then users of the library don't need to think about all that internals. This will now take a bit since we're running 5 benchmarks. So yeah.
Yep. Any talks coming up?
Well, not in the next weeks. I have three more sessions.
In the meetup, right? Next month.
Oh yes. Oh, I forgot about the metup. Well, you're good at this.
What would you do without me?
that is
good that I remind you, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So actually I forgot about it. Still need to prepare. It's about.
Is it online as well? Or is it just in person?
It will. Yes, because we always stream. We always have the remote version, so we also stream via Twitch and YouTube, and also in person in Vienna, where we will later on be refreshing beverages and healthy and unhealthy snacks. And we actually have 2 sessions. One is from Andrea talking about Aspire and how it helps testing. Now I'll be spending a bit. Well, of course, it's somehow related to source generators because, C# interceptors and how they help with native AOT and how you get better performance by just adding a source generator that creates an interceptor. You don't do anything other than package reference, and everything just becomes better.
Yeah.
It was very nice
And
because now
also,
in the
like,
meantime,
if you're in Austria or Vienna and you have a talk that you want to share with the community, because Stefan is one of the co-organizers, of course, so you can always reach out if you have interesting topics, right?
Oh yes, absolutely. You're so
Okay, good.
You're very good at this. So now, does this kind of add up? If generating a driver takes 121 nanoseconds, creating compilation takes roughly 500.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of, if we only run and we add 500, so be at no, wait, that's 440. So be it like at 500 and then 621. It kind of does, doesn't it? Or am I? What I'm not surprised by.
Yeah.
How does the? Well, I guess. Well, definitely. Well, the benchmark results, they're not super accurate because, well, we do a live streaming here and I have a bunch of applications running. So this results are kind of an indicator, not a statement.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And wait a minute, that's a high error rate. That's not good, right? That indicate. Wait a minute, because that's not the English in English. That's because in German that's the decimal separator, the comma, but it's actually 1,000 separator. I just realized.
Oops.
Wait a minute. Okay, previously we had microseconds because now we're in the nanoseconds area, but that means it kind of totally does not add up. I was assuming this is a comma, so I basically was looking at these numbers, and then it kind of adds up. No, actually it doesn't. It does not add up. No, wait a minute. This doesn't add up at all, and this doesn't add up either, because what I would now kind of expect is that if we do the run plus the generate create compilation plus the driver create, that this should add up to all of the 3 steps individually.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really.
Doesn't.
That means there is now some caching going on, definitely. I'm wondering now, I guess this is not a cliffhanger for the next episode, if this, whatever's going on in there, we need to find out if this is impactful for the code of the generator that we actually want to benchmark, or if it's not. Because if it's not impactful, then we basically have the solution here, and we can make the setup and the teardown simpler. But if it is impactful, then we need to find a different solution to this problem.
Fair enough. And we're going to find it next time. When is our next time, actually?
So we're going to be back on... I'm now prepared. If it works. Yes.
Yes.
So we're going to be back in 2 weeks minus 2.5 hours on Wednesday, August the 6th. And we're going to do more benchmarking and try to find out if it adds up or doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you so much to everyone who's been spending the afternoon or the evening with us. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. This is a live stream. No, I mean, obviously you don't have to, but it is good. We don't always do 2 weeks intervals. And, we have a lot of different content. We have some really, really amazing guests as well. And you definitely don't want to miss those episodes.
Oh, yes.
So do follow us on any of your preferred social medias, because, it pops up and then you see it and then you're like, yes, I'm going to tune into this episode or I'm going to skip this one. Also, if you have any questions, suggestions, or ideas for for content, you can always message us as well. If you just want to, reach out to us, we always love to hear from you. Thank you also to so many of our regulars. It's always so nice to have you, and thank you for all the help. I definitely needed it again, as always.
Well, me too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much.
And we'll be back.